Yeah, hello. So let's talk about the application which you have presented in a previous video. So I think application is about to start. Mm, yeah, it's been triggered now. As being discussed in our previous video, so the main intuition of this app, I'm just would like to recall or reiterate very quickly in 30 seconds. So we'll just use this app for sign in, real-time sign in and sign up. And then the main intuition of this app is to track our trips, travel trips and their expenses. So that's a simple intuition of this app. Everything is real time because we are using the Firebase authentication mechanism, and we are also using the Firebase Firestore as our remote database. All right, so let's dive into it. So before we actually do the sign in and sign up, so let's first check our existing Firebase authentication here. So these are the two things here. Okay, I think right now I'm in a different project. So yeah, this is the current project which I'm currently working on. And here we already have 3 users. So let's first maybe delete the users. Um, yeah, delete the users, and then we'll create the new users now. So let's delete the users. So this is quite simple. That's also called the administration, we can call them as. And also I already have some collections now in my database. So this is my Firestore database. So just delete the collections as well. So we don't want them, and then we will see all in real time once we add them. So that's all. So now for me, this is application, and we don't have any users yet because it's no users for this project yet. And then Firebase, Firestore also, no collections, nothing. So you might, if you're new to the Firebase, you may have a question like how actually the database schema has been created. So the simple answer is like we don't need to create anything upfront here. So when we are actually triggering it or trying to store it from the code base, when you try to push the data from the code base to the Firestore, then and there itself it will actually create the schema, and it will design the DB in a cloud actually. So that's excellent. So let's dive into the application quickly, and also look at the our turbo screen as well. All right, so let's create the user. So that's our sign up screen, and maybe let's start with my name, Pavan, and then pavan@gmail.com, something else. So yeah, we just created a, we just entered the details, and now as per the previous video, we have seen that we're actually sending this information to the Firebase. So maybe if I can show the screen as well. Yeah, so we are using a little bit, let me show you the screens as well. So sign in, login, or sign up. Yeah, so this is a information. So we are actually taking the email, password, and username. So all these three informations, all these three tabs, these three informations, and then we are actually taking it by using the use state. These are all the state mechanisms, hooks in our React Native. So we are using them, and then simply handle sign up. So we are actually collecting data, and then just a simple method that's called create user with email and password. So that's a Firebase method. We are actually using it. So this is what the Firebase auth. So this is a framework or library we're using it from the Firebase. So that's it, and then we just hit it. Maybe first let's see the wrong password or the wrong format to one. So if we don't do this, okay, for email, so we haven't written any code of validations here. So everything will be taken care of by the Firebase. That's the beauty here. So let's just sign up and see what happens. That's it. So Firebase authentication invalid error. So maybe that also might be receiving here as well. So even a turbo also it says like a authentication email invalid. It clearly shows that it's an email invalid or invalid email. So let's give it a try with the correct one, and then just do a sign up now. And then so if you see this, all the information actually is being called, and we got the data as well. Of course, there is some other error as well, but I don't think it's a problem here. If you could see the data the logs here, which I added all this information, these are all my logs for the debugging purpose. So this is the previous error which we got it, but now from here on we can see the positive logs. So user UID is this one, and the user email, and the display is null. That's fine, and this is the object which being returned by the Firebase. So here itself we can see all the informations like the access token and even the refresh token also somewhere. Yes, refresh token, and also somewhere like the expiry date also some place might be expiry time. So everything is actually we got the information. Um, so I think that's all. That's all about the sign up. Maybe we'll actually log out and then sign in too. We just log out, yeah, and user logged out successfully, and now log in or sign in. So we just used, okay, now what happens, actually we created the user, right? So ideally there must be a authentication details must be there. Yeah, this is the email which we actually used to sign up, isn't it? So it's been already created just now. Now we'll try to use this email to log in our application. So maybe as a practice we'll just give something inaccurate or invalid email ID, so to test the negative scenarios as well. So actually the name is Pavan at gmail.com, but I gave PAVAN and 1 also, which is incorrect. So now just delete it. That's good. And now it should go into the app. And now the one thing important thing is like, if there's something else, something on here, but I think that doesn't matter. There's something also here, but I'll check it later. So now we actually logged in. Okay, we actually logged in here. And then let's go back to the turbo here. We actually logged in. And if you see that now we don't see any trips here. So that's why we are actually showing something else, like we don't have any trips and it's the time to start the trips. So let's add a trip, yeah, and now this is the add a trip screen. And let's go back to our Firebase as well to see what database we have here. So we don't have anything at the moment, right? It's just a clean database. We haven't created anything, no schema upfront. So now we're actually trying to add a trip here. So maybe as being discussed or explained in the previous presentation, we gave a Goa as a place, and the place is India, right? Or maybe you can say Tirupati. Yeah, and now it's which country is in India. So now just add a trip. So just observe that it's so much realistic and so much accuracy. We just add a trip here, and as and when we add a trip, it actually, as being discussed in a previous presentation, we actually bundle this data, these two informations, attribute information, and sending to the Firestore. This is what the Firestore here. Sorry. Maybe in the little bit code base, let's go back here. So we're actually talking about the add trips, right? So this is add trip expenses. Maybe sorry, this one. And then simple thing is handle add trips. So on tapping add trip, we're actually handling this method. This method is going to call, and here we're actually packing up everything against the user ID, which means because that's where when we actually sign up, or sorry, log out, and then we're trying to log in, then we have to retrieve all the trips. So that's where we gave the reference of the logged in user ID. All right, so that's it, and then just tap it. Yeah, so if you see that, so user actually logged in, and then the one which we just added is Tirupati, and the location, I mean the country is India. So now let's just go back and see the collections. So here it's not reflected, right? Just go back and then come here again. So as soon as you tap it here, everything has been reflected. So this is the trips, which is our collections, and then this is the collection ID, and then this is something the India, and the place we visited is Tirupati, and this is the user ID, and the user ID is perfectly matched with the authentication here, probably here QQ, and then here also it must be QQ. Yeah, Q starts with QQ, so which means it's actually synced properly. So that's what the important thing is. And now we added a trip here, that is fine. And now the next thing is we want to add expenses to that trip. So here, the trip which I visited last year is Tirupati, and which is in India, and so now I would like to add expenses to the trip. So at the moment we don't have any expenses added to this trip, so now we are going to add the expense now. So first thing, I actually took a cab for what is cab, and then maybe 300 rupees or dollars, whatever, and it's for the travel. So just add it here and just observe here also. So this is a completely new collection. Maybe in the code wise, I'm sorry. So yeah, in a code wise, so this is the expenses strip, right? So trip expenses is here, and then again the bundling everything. So fetch expenses, this is something different, but now we want to add expenses, right? So that is definitely add expenses screen. Yeah, same thing here also. We are actually sending the title and the amount, and the category is this one. So this is the category, and now these details are actually must clubbed or having a reference to the trips which you actually added earlier, which is that nothing but Tirupati trip, right? So that's why we're actually giving a reference to this. And this trip is actually referenced with the user ID. So that's where everything is actually linked. So user is linked with the trip, and trip is linked with an expenses. So that's how everything is being referenced. And then uh, even user logged out, whenever he actually log in, everything is preserved securely in a file store. So now, without wasting time, so let's go back to Firebase and see if we don't have any expenses here at the moment. And now we are going to add expenses here. So as and when we're done, immediately just reflect here the beauty. So here itself is being reflected in the app, and here also it must be reflected, but it just maybe async. Just go back. Yeah. So here we have expenses here. We added a cab which costs around 300 rupees, and the category is travel, and this is a trip ID. So let's add one more, maybe the food, maybe dosa, and how much, maybe 20, and it's for food category. Add expenses. So immediately we have one more expense added here immediately. So it's such a super sync. And then 20 rupees in the food, in the dosa, and that's a trip ID. So everything's been actually synced properly, isn't it? And now just go back. Just go back. So at a whole, if you see that, so this is our trip, and if you go into the trip, we can see all the expenses added to it. So that's a quick thing. We can see everything more realistically here. Maybe again we just try to log in. What's the email ID we used, just to see that. Yeah, so our details actually, everything is preserved here so nicely. And just to make sure that our details, I mean these particular details are not mixed with other details, so let's do a quick sign up with other details like Kumar@gmail.com and something else. So now if you go to authentication, we have only one user, right? We have only one user. So let's make it to sign up. So as and when we do a sign up, it will create one more entry here. So we are done with the entry creation, almost there. Yeah, perfect. So now this is a new user altogether, and then here it's not at sync, so just do a tab switch. So now we have a new user created automatically, and then for this user no trips are there, isn't it? So now just again log out, and now sign in with our first user. And just sign in. So everything will actually get it from the Firebase instantly. So now just see it, isn't it? So there's some error, so that I'll fix it later. But that's the intuition of this app is something like we realistically log in, realistically sign up, and then we do add the trips, and then we do add expenses to a particular trip, and then we catch it. See, that's the intuition of this app. I think that's successfully achieved in this by using the React Native application. Moreover, the demonstration and the here what everything I'm showing it on an Android screen, but definitely it can be just run it on an iPhone screen as well. But we just need to run a pods here. So if you just run a pods command, then Simultaneously, we can even open our iPhone's simulator as well, but now this is a Android emulator, so it's just a small thing. So that's the beauty. With a single code base, we can generate iOS application and Android application just in a very short time with a few resources. So that's the beauty of React Native. And yeah, now the backbone of this application is a Firebase. So we use our authentication sign in and the sign up stuff for authentication, and the Firestore is a backbone for our just like acts as a database, real-time database, where it's perfectly syncs to us to our application, where we store all the trips and its expenses, and there's no collision between one user and another user. So that's so beautiful. So I think we can do a lot more applications by using our Firebase and more features of this React Native. But in a simple short note, I do made some notes here. So overall, in this application, we use a native React Native libraries. These are the small UI components: text, view, images, text inputs, and touchable opacity for the buttons kind of concept, and flat list for loading the list here. In style sheet, something else. Majorly, I did not use much, but in very rare places I used style sheet. But yeah, and the React Native. So we use this for the Redux store, use state and use effect. So basically, this is mainly used for my to maintain the state of the application. Example, the login state and the loading indicators. So everything, I mean, the user state as well. So everything is being managed by using the Redux. Sorry, this is called React hooks actually, but yeah, we use this for to maintain the states also for state of the application and everything. And yeah, navigation is very quite straightforward. We use this one, and the snack bar is something interesting. So I think we might have observed that there's some error at the bottom. So this is all coming because of this library, which is called snack bar library, and the snack bar is some more popular in our Android ecosystem, where we show a lot of small alerts from the bottom. That's called snack bars. And yeah, we know that it's a Firestore. We use all our database storing remotely. And Firebase auth also we explained that. So all our login and sign up is based on this framework. And Redux Toolkit, this is something damn important. So this is where we actually maintain sending the actions to the users, and from there actually taking care of those actions, and then do the manipulations, and again setting the state, actually new states. So this is where use dispatch is something we are actually dispatching an action from the screens, and then use selector is something again important, fetching the data from the store. So this is something like going inside the store and fetching from the store. So this is a beautiful concept, and this particular items is closely linked with these items as well. Um, so these are all the kind of state management stuff we can consider that. And depending all these are all this local components. I mean, we can have everything, we can find it in my GitHub. So you are happy to go through the application and then just enhance it whatever the way you like it. So just for your information, so it's a GitHub application. So everything you find it here. So except one item, so that is called Firebase configuration. I did not commit that Firebase configuration. So once you create your Firebase configuration from your store, you will see your own configuration. So here I did not add the configuration, but more or less it looks like this. So yeah, you can just directly copy and paste from the Firebase console website to your application. So just simply copy and paste it. But of course, the values are definitely different from each and every application. So yeah, this is how it looks like in real, but the values are different for your application. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if anyone have any questions or any information or any applications you want to develop it, or if you need any suggestions or something, or if you want to give any suggestions, most welcome. So yeah, I think the previously also I think I shared my details as well, but yeah, you're almost welcome, and you can see all the details here as well, contact information of mine. Yeah, that's all. Thank you and have a great day.